right, so let's get started. Kickstart with our theory for today. Also, if you don't know, that animal is called Bit. He is our mascot, our Azure Advocate mascot. I have actually like a plushie. Liam has one too, but he's over there, so I can't get around. But I think out of all the DevRel mascots out there, I think ours is the cutest, in my opinion. But anyway, let's talk about, what was it saying? Oh, what is a virtual machine? Often you'll see it abbreviated as VM. So a virtual machine is the virtualization or emulation of a computer system, right? And virtual machines is, I don't know about y'all, let me know in the chat. It's probably one of the first services that I ever touched when I was trying to learn like cloud computing. And I remember the first time like SSHing into like a virtual machine that I like had deployed. I was like, oh my goodness, I am in the back end of Azure. You know, because you have your terminal and it's like white letters with black backdrop and you're like, oh, I'm a hacker man, right? Very cool, right? But anyway, so use cases for virtual machines, building and deploying applications. Yes, nowadays we have containers, we have things like app service. We have these different services that abstract ways that we can deploy and build applications. But, you know, virtual machines, still a great use case for this type of task, right? Testing operating systems / applications. If you need to test a different version of operating systems or applications, you can have a virtual machine that's tailored to those needs and requirements, right? Creating development environments. Yes, if you need to have some sort of maybe a development environment that's smaller than your production or something like soup to down or something like that, you can also use virtual machines for that. Backing up data, you can just attach a bunch of disks, which we're going to talk about storage a little bit later, but a bunch of disks to your virtual machine and just use it as like, for storage and such. And then we have access to legacy software. If you have software that needs to run in a specific operating system, you can have a virtual machine that's on that specific operating system, and then you have access to that. But this is like a pain. I remember being in my sysadmin days, and we had a bunch of virtual machines that were like server 2006, I believe, 2006 R2, or was it 2009? I can't remember. But we couldn't like upgrade them because there was software that had to be on that specific version. It was such a pain. And this was back in like 2017. So you're talking like years of difference between when that operating system was released to like when we were working on it. Absolute pain to work with. But it's still a thing that you can do, right? All right. So why would you want to use virtual machines? That is a good question. But anyway, you used to have to have like physical servers where you would actually have to rack them. And these still very much exist. I was recently talking to someone, his name is Ignacio. He works with like mainframes and actually like physical things, right? And these things still exist. You know, they have their areas. It could be compliance reasons, security reasons, whatever, but actual physical servers that you have to rack and you have to cable and all these kinds of things. With virtual machines, you have cost savings because you don't have to have like, you have less physical infrastructure to worry about. And speedy, quick to provision. You know, you don't have to go and buy something and rack it, right? You can just kind of provision it. Less downtime. Move from hypervisor to hypervisor easily here. Scalable. Yes, you can take an image of a virtual machine and then replicate it, or you have like scale sets and things like that. So scale horizontally or vertically. And security. Protects the host operating system when running questionable software, right? Also with all these kind of like go together because, you know, if you have some sort of vulnerability with one virtual machine, grab the image, kind of like provision another one, move over your application, and then, you know, if you have some sort of error or something like that, right? But yeah, those are a couple of reasons why you would want to use them. In terms of connecting to a virtual machine, we have actually a couple of options. Username or password. This is mainly used in like development, sort of like small, I don't even want to say small, I would say things that you're just testing in development. Because usernames and passwords can be, everything can be hacked, right? But then you have things like SSH, which is ideally SSH with a key pair. Key pairs are files that you'll need to connect that need to be on your local machine or where you're connecting from and on the virtual machine that you're connecting to. So having a key pair, it's like a more secure way than using a username and password. And then SSH works over, SSH stands for Secure Shell, and it works over port 22, right? We have RDP. If you're a Windows admin or if you've worked with Windows virtual machines, you're familiar with RDP. I think it stands for Remote Desktop Protocol, right? Let me know in the chat if that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. WinRM. I don't think I've ever used WinRM, but it's also another option. And then Azure Bastion. Azure Bastion is actually pretty cool. I used it back when I worked in an Azure shop. And it's right from the portal. You can just access your virtual machine. It's secure and set up for you.